Aquaman number 26, which is Dan Abnett writing, and Stjepan Sejic's on art. I'm going to say his first name. Sejic. So, I caught up with this. We, of course, all covered the first arc of this way back when it was first obviously coming out last year. And, we felt like it was spinning its wheels. The whole political angle was starting to feel like it was dragging on, and we kind of all dropped it. And I had been tempted a few times to go back in. Some of the later arcs looked kind of cool. But then they announced Sejic was coming, and they seemed like to be making this big push with issue 25 to sort of reinvigorate it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about issue 25 as well, just because it obviously leads into this. This is the second part of the arc. I will say I really enjoyed H2.0, which was the sort of the sequel to the Dead Water arc, which was just before Rebirth. And if that was Alien, H2.0 was like the aliens to that story, and it was a lot of fun.
That's good.
So I dug that. That was right before 25. There was that, and then there was 2 issues setting up the 25 arc, and they were okay. Certainly the second one, because it felt like it did a lot more stuff to set up the new thing. But anyway, so why is 25, other than the fantastically, beautifully done art, like gorgeous, these 2 issues, absolutely gorgeous. But what makes it interesting? Well, here's the thing. I feel like when it comes to Atlantis, we only ever see like the war room, or the throne room where they're making decisions, and it's all just talking about Atlantis as this concept of like, oh, the nation of Atlantis, the city of Atlantis. We need to do this.
It's basically like setting something in the U.S. but only showing the White House.
Exactly, that's what it kind of feels like. Yeah. So basically, what issue 25 did, which is really interesting. So at the end of issue 24, Atlantis thinks Aquaman is dead. There's a thing where Orm, who's been kind of loyal to him throughout the series, basically pledges allegiance to the new king, King Wrath, who's taken over. The council's giving him, command, and everyone thinks Aquaman's dead. There's a little bit of a time jump. It started at 25, and Aquaman, and we start to actually learn about part of the world of Atlantis, because Aquaman's in the Ninth Tride. And the Ninth Tride, to basically put it in perspective, is like the Narrows of Atlantis. It's the shithole section, where there's more crime, all the misfits, the creatures who have mutations that the rest of Atlantis are racist towards, and the criminal underworld, they're all in the Ninth Tride. And Aquaman's down there, he's got his long hair, he's got his beard, and he's basically going around being like Atlantis' Batman, where he's like stopping crime from happening. And like the legend's kind of spreading of the Aquaman, who most people think he's a myth. Like, they think it's just a story that people have been telling, but it's actually him.
It's so weird because they know.
But they don't know it's him.
Arthur Curry was Aquaman?
No, they do.
Like
but this is the whole thing, that they're using it because they're naming it after their fallen king. Because some of Atlantis does actually miss him. Some of them did like him.
Okay.
Gotcha. But they're naming it after the fallen king. So they're calling him the Aquaman. And like, King Wrath even points that out, and like when he's talking about it, it's like, oh, they're even using the surface dweller's name for him. But there is speculation, like this, people do start to speculate, could it actually be him? Could it be is he not dead? Okay. Is it Arthur? And Mira doesn't know he's alive. Volko, who basically uses some magic down there to try and contact out, because one of the things that's happened at the start of 25, end of 24, is that King Wrath is using the Atlantis forbidden magic, which is something the Widowhood aren't happy about, is that he's accessing all of the magic technology that Atlantis has, and he basically has this giant wall of thorns that is encased the entire city, so no one from the surface can get in, including Mira, because Volko gets a message out to Mira to tell her that Arthur's not dead, and that sends her on the warpath back to Atlantis. So all of Mira in this issue is she's at the sort of the edge of this barrier, just using every bit of water magic she has to try and get in, and struggling. There's some glorious looking stuff in there. But like Wrath is like, oh, this is good. This is showing the people of Atlantis that no one can get in. Like, he's kind of happy about this.
Right.
Although he doesn't know why she's there, even though he's starting to speculate. So basically in the last issue, Arthur stepped in because the King's army was like trying to round up various mutants and sort of misfits, and he stepped in to protect them. And one of them turned out to be Dolphin. She didn't get named until this issue, but it's Dolphin. She doesn't speak. She's got the mutations, and she has her sort of light power where she like sort of, or she blinds everyone and all the rest of it. She uses that in this issue. So Arthur in this issue is with her. She takes him to this secret underground kind of like base where her and some other mutants are kind of hanging around. All these misfits. that the kings are wanting. We get introduced to Crush, who's like the head of this like sector, the Ninth Trade, and his sort of right hand man Cadaver, who has like magic powers, and he's hunting down Arthur because Crush has basically figured out that it might be Aquaman, it might be him. So he's like, oh, if we can get him, then King Wrath will be bound towards us if we can use him. So I'm really digging it. What I'm loving about it, beyond just how beautiful it all looks, is I like that it's really given like a bit of character to a part of the Atlantis world. Like, it really feels like, oh, so there's a city in Atlantis. We get a sense of the neighborhoods, of the people who are living down there. And it's not just all this, like, faceless population. There's, there's racism in there. There's, like, a hierarchy. There's the upper class. There's the lower class. And, Aquaman's
they have problems. They're not a utopia.
Exactly.
And they want you to think they are.
There's debating who should be king. Some of them like Aquaman. Some of them like Wrath, who's, like, the more kind of right-wing nut job who wants to just kill everything that comes near them. And all this stuff, whereas Aquaman obviously wanted diplomacy, wanted to like become part of the world again, and have an alliance with the surface world and so on. But I'm digging it. I really like these last two issues. I feel like it's really rejuvenated. It feels like it's actually doing something. It's not just spinning its wheels and doing stuff that Aquaman's been doing for years. It feels like it's actually introduced a new status quo, and obviously there's the temptation here that Aquaman might fall for Dolphin. We might have a bit of a love triangle going. I'm hoping it doesn't quite go down that route. It doesn't feel like it is yet. It feels like, so far at least, it's more of this camaraderie kind of feeling to it. But they might go down that path. I'm not sure. But it looks gorgeous. And I like the world of Atlantis. I like how it looks now with this new art. Like, I feel like, it's fascinating to travel the streets, if you want to call them that, of Atlantis. And see all this stuff. So I am really, really digging it. So Cadaver, who's Crush's right-hand man, actually beats Aquaman at the end and beats the other mutants. And Crush wants them to bring him in at the end. It's also worth mentioning that all the people in the Ninth Trade are referred to as the Hadelin, which is kind of like the, I guess, the scum or the lowest class kind of thing.
Joe, I was reading, because that was brought up early in the run, like in the stuff that we read before.
Yeah.
They were saying it literally translates to bottom feeders, because they eat all the scraps that get thrown down from the higher levels, but it's not seen as an insult, because they're seen as they're keeping the oceans clean.
Yeah. It kind of gets used as an insult here, though. Like the way they kind of like shout it at them, like "you Hadelin, come!" Like they definitely see them as lower class. There's definitely an element of that to it. It definitely feels that way when they're talking.
Well, and I'm sure they've tried to take that phrase back.
They kind of use it kind of themselves as kind of like camaraderie.
There's some commentary that we could use in this country.
There's commentary, absolutely.
Yeah. So also, when you're talking about the mutants and stuff, I was in Dark Knight Returns vibes. How Bruce goes in to fight the mutants and their leader.
Yeah, although in this case, the mutants here are actually the good characters. They're kind of like the misfits that society's mistreating. Because that's one of the things. I'm just saying. Is the army in the last issue tried to arrest Dolphin because she's a mutant. It's like, oh no, it almost had like a you're going to the concentration camp kind of vibe to it. So it feels like they're in a dictatorship, and like Arthur's going to have to build up and like fight back from within and ultimately get back to power somehow. But it feels like it's doing something. It feels like it's actually got a direction, an aim. It's interesting. It feels like it's building Atlantis its own world. I'm digging it. I actually really like these last two issues. So, and then the art definitely elevates it. It's gorgeous stuff. Everything's like a painting. It's beautiful. So, I thoroughly recommend even if you want to just jump in at like 25. Although I'd recommend reading maybe the H2.0 arc, especially if you read the Deadwater arc, and maybe at least read the 2 issues before 25. Even though they're not as good, they do set up all of the, contextually they just set up everything up, like the situation we're in now. Even though I do like the idea that it starts at 25 where Aquaman, like this vigilante in Atlantis is kind of a myth. I was really digging that vibe. So no, Aquaman, back on top form. Good stuff. I recommend it.